The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. W's products are made in the USA in an FDA inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom made by W, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. W's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. W Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com. It is a TIP's VIP Friday. It's the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn now, on YouTube, on Instagram, on National Streaming Sports. We are all over the place. Augustine joining me here on the show. Ivy Sells Homes joining us on Instagram, along with Kidder's Baby and Leonidas Muniz joining us over there as well. Yes, that's one of my friends from high school. That's how I know how to say his name correctly.
Just, my mind was blown. I was going, Mike Tipton speaking Spanish now. And then, back to reality.
Yeah, so someone I grew up with. So I learned how to say his name at a younger age. I was going to mess around and be like, Leonidas is here.
So I just wanted to know how hard it was for you, Tip, to actually say the N, Muniz. And stuff like that. Mañana, stuff like that.
Whenever I think about it, that's whenever I can say it the way that like most people say it, right? I have to really think about it. But if it's just coming off like the top of my head, that's where you can hear the differences in the accents as it happens. So like I really have to think about it. Like you'll be saying something and I'll be like, okay, this is how I'm going to reply. This is how it has to sound. Because whenever I was younger, I had to take I had a bit of a speech impediment, and you can still kind of hear it whenever I use words with R's in them. I have I do like a R type thing. Like fuckatass, guys. Like that. There's just spit everywhere. So I had to take one of those classes whenever I was younger to be able to speak like the way that I do now. But it's a lot of thinking ahead of time of what it is that I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it.
So you know what you just said, Tipton, right? You just said that the way you speak is not natural.
No, it's not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been lied to these whole 12 years.
I've never once said that it was. So I don't know how you could say it was a lie. It's just the way that I speak.
Well, you've hidden it well.
And like I said, you can hear it whenever I get passionate about stuff. Like the other day, whenever I was talking about the George Pickens trade, you can
Yeah,
hear it.
oh, you were passionate. Oh, and I got some notes on that one, by the way.
Uh-oh. And then yesterday with the New York Knicks, I was like so disappointed in the Boston Celtics. You could hear the difference in my normal, I guess, accent coming out.
The Boston what? What was that again? The Boston choke artists? Or what was
Jesus
that?
Christ, they are so bad. And you know, we'll start right there, Augustine. Like, what were your thoughts on it? Like, obviously, we spoke about it a little bit yesterday. We didn't get to do a show. You and I didn't get to do a show yesterday, but it was just one of those things of like, take a damn 2-point shot. Like it's not that hard. You're 10 of 40 from 3. Take a couple of steps in, and maybe those ones will go in.
Yes, please. I mean, and I think this bad run by the Boston Celtics is going to start proving that a 2-point bucket has its worth. Um, a 3-pointer, it's great, wonderful. It evens the games for the short guys, Stephen Curry. But if you're not making them, if the rim has somehow, remember when you played basketball and the coach wanted you grab the rebounds, he put that thing on the rim so it would go everywhere, and that's the way the Boston Celtics are looking at the rim right now, because maybe 1 or 2 buckets are gonna. I mean, and a clock may be right twice a day, and that's they may shoot up 100, 2 may go in, but there comes a point in time where you go, we got to do something different. And same goes for your favorite team, the Warriors,
When did they become my favorite team?
because they're our favorite team to look at right now to see the mess it is without their superstar.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that sucks for them. So, but real quick before I get to them, I'll go back to the Celtics talk, right?
Mhm.
I was listening to it's called Basketball Illuminati with Amin El Hassan, and it's a great podcast. A lot of insight if you want to tune into those ones and get some basketball knowledge, right? And he broke it down like this: your 3-point shooters, if you're the Boston Celtics, are not supposed to be your superstars. Like there's your superstars are supposed to be able to collapse the defense, kick out to the 3-point shooters, and occasionally knock down a 3 whenever it's time for them to knock down a 3. That's how basketball's supposed to be played. In the case of the Golden State Warriors, the entire team is built around Steph Curry is going to shoot the 3. We can get rebounds if he dribble penetrates because he's such a great ball handler. Then we can then we can get our shots and buckets that way. But if all you're doing, like the Boston Celtics, is you're Jason Tatum, you're 6'10", being guarded by 6'2" Jalen Brunson, and you settle for a step back 3-pointer where you could just take that dude to the hole and have the easiest shot in the world, or at least collapse the defense to give your team a better chance at a 3-pointer, and you're not taking advantage of that. It reminds me of LeBron James getting shut down by JJ Barea whenever the Heat played the Mavericks in that first NBA Finals for them. LeBron James at 6'9", 280 pounds, being shut down by 5'10" JJ Barea. Why is it happening that way? And it's just it shows a lack of basketball IQ, to me at least, from the Boston Celtics. And I don't think Joe Mazzulla, and I think you said yesterday that you thought he's a good coach. If he was, he would have made an in-game adjustment. Someone said it yesterday, and it kind of like blew my mind. Like, who the hell thinks Joe Mazzulla is a good coach? Because I feel like he's going to die on this hill. In Game 3, we're going to see the Boston Celtics come and shoot another 100 3-pointers in this game just to try to prove a point that they can win playing the way that they've played.
And it wasn't me. I just have to clear that up. I think
It wasn't me,
it wasn't me. I sound like the Eminem song. It wasn't me,
Shaggy.
Shaggy. But that's what the game has become, a 3-point shooting contest. But the thing is, it's not about I don't think it's about basketball IQ. It's I think it's simpler than that. I think it's more of a common sense thing. I mean, if And you're completely right. If you have a guy that's half your size, half your weight, and is guarding you, you go to the rim. I mean, there's no andis or buts. If you go to the rim, somebody like that is going to guard you. Somebody else is going to try to double team you logically. So that means that someone is open. That's how you create. But I don't think it's basketball IQ. I think it's especially for, and you talked about LeBron, talked about Jason Tatum. I think it's more of a me moment of I'm gonna be the hero. I'm gonna be the superstar that gets us there. They they really don't have this thinking of, well, I'm gonna just penetrate and then lay it off to my shooter. I think that mentality is gone in the NBA. I think it's just I'm just gonna do it myself, and there comes a point in time where you can't do it yourself, and there's five people on the court, and if you're a real leader, like some basketball players are, you're gonna find that open man. You're going to do that extra pass that all announcers talk about, and actually do it. And that's what's not happening with the Boston Celtics.
I can see that. You gave me some homework because I'm gonna have to look this up. I don't have the time to do it right now because I was gonna see what the assist numbers are like in the NBA because I could have swore like it's been more of that dribble, penetrate, go out and shoot threes. But I've also seen so much more, even on a fast break, right? Like you've got a 3-on-1 and you're still settling for a pull up three. Like you're not getting the ball movement. The beautiful game that the San Antonio Spurs brought to basketball, especially in the early 2010s. You have to admit, man, whenever it was like Ginobili and Kawhi and all them, they were moving the ball around. That's what made the Warriors what the Warriors were. That Steve Kerr took that offense that he learned in San Antonio, took it over to Golden State, who had better shooters, and it became a beautiful brand of basketball. With what we're seeing out of the league now, like with the Jason Tatums and stuff like that, like I said, you're 100% correct. I think we're going to agree on this for the remainder of time. Is there's no way in hell, none, that you have a guy that's half your size that you don't just back him down. Could you imagine if Shaq settled for like a mid-range jumper instead of putting his back into somebody just to dunk on them to prove you cannot guard me? Jason Tatum's allowing Jalen Brunson to guard him because, yes, even though the three-pointer is the most valuable shot in NBA, it's not necessarily. Like, it gives you more points, but there's still more value in getting a layup, getting a dunk. Those are the top two value shots in the NBA. Then it's a corner three, then it's a wing three. But you know what the most valuable shot is outside of all those? It's getting to the effing free throw line because you get points for free with no one in your face. If you're going to settle for a step back jumper like Jason Tatum did at 6'10", being guarded by a guy that's 6'2", you deserve to lose this series. I want now New York to sweep Boston because it's ugly basketball and I'm not going to watch this ugly ass basketball anymore.
Well, and you talk about this, about the step back three and Jason Tatum, and here's another question for that: what's a 6'10" guy doing? Pulling back on a pullback three, and that's the Steph effect. That is the Stephen Curry. But Curry is fast as heck. He can do that on a blink of an eye.
But that's the thing, right? Like Steph has to be able to do that because he's 6'3", and the step back is what's able to get him a little bit of separation away from the bigger guys that can potentially block the shot, right? So I can get him, I can get James Harden doing it. A guard, I 100% get doing it. You're 6'10". All you have to do against a dude that's 6'2" is stand up and put your hands in the air. Like that's literally you don't even have to jump on your jumper. You can just flick the wrist. How many times have we seen the big dude just flick the wrist whenever it came to that? But if all you're doing is allowing the defense to bail out, then you kind of deserve to lose these games. And like I was hoping to see some sort of adjustment from Boston. They missed an NBA record 45 3-pointers, and then they follow it up with missing 30 3-pointers. Like it's insane. Tommy Canazza saying, "What's up, fellas?" Giving some love to Gary the Crooked Commish out there as well. Giving some love to August Foratu. I have to look up. I have to find the picture. I got to go find the picture again. There it is.
I can't do my.
I want to give a shout out to Ray Ariola, who tuned in over on Instagram, and Peter Bread 817, who tuned in over on Instagram as well. Ray and I used to work together over at KLAQ. Y'all might know him as Ray Monroe. So shout out to Ray for tuning in, always supporting the stuff that we do over here. Okay, Augustine. I feel like we'll read this comment before we move on. Gary Bryant saying Steph and Clay didn't kill the game. Guys shooting threes at a clip that's unbelievable are done by guys who can't shoot. That's what's killing the game. Only one Steph, only one Clay. And it's just like back in the day, right? Like there was only one Reggie Miller. There was only one Ray Allen, Glenn Rice, like those guys that you knew could shoot threes, and no one else tried to be them. Everyone else played their game. Now you have everyone trying to be Steph Curry because it looks awesome whenever you could drain 100 3-pointers in any type of game, right? You see Steph pull up from three, you kind of feel like it's going in. Even if he's only a 44% 3-point shooter, you feel like 100% of the time it's going in. And it feels like 100% of the time it goes in as well. With Jason Tatum, you're a 30% free throw shooter at best. That means you should be getting your big ass at 6'10" into the paint and maybe, just maybe, draw a foul. Like do something, get someone in foul trouble. I can't understand bailing out the defense whenever you have such a mismatch on you. That's the thing that I hate whenever I see like a guard with a big on him and the guard just settles for the outside jumper. No, dude, attack him because you're going to get him off kilter. You're going to collapse the defense, and now you have a whole team of people around you. Stop this hero basketball. I sound like I'm an old man now, Augustine. Stop this hero-style basketball and utilize your teammates.
You know, we said it best, and I'm going to include myself because I think I'm part of the show. Hero basketball. That's what the NBA is right now. And there's only one Tyler Hero anyway. But
and he's not even that damn good.
And he's not even and speaking somebody and again, who gave the comment about Steph and Clay Thompson?
That was Gary Bryant.
Gary, by the way, and if you could comment on this, Clay isn't that great.
He was. I think that the injuries are what caught up to him.
So you're talking about age, and you're talking about injuries, and you're talking about stuff that we've talked about before, that the NBA is and should be a young man's game.
Well, with that, then you lose what we're talking about as well, which is Steph Curry, the value that Steph Curry brings to the Golden State Warriors. He's the oldest player on that team.
But how old is Steph? 33?
36.
No.
Yeah.
He's 36?
He's either 36 or maybe at the youngest 35. Let me see how old Steph Curry is.
But he's like Cristiano Ronaldo. And see how he really takes care of himself in the off season, though.
I mean, so does LeBron James. LeBron James spends over $2 million a year on his body.
You're talking about maybe two players. One of them, Steph, that has completely changed the game, and the other one just. And let's be honest about LeBron James.
Yeah, Steph Curry's 36.
Is a force of nature. But the Steph Curry when he's on the court, when Steph Curry's on the court, does he look like he's being surpassed by a younger player? Does he look like he doesn't belong? That's my question. And there are players out there who look like they do not belong, who look like my brand new water heater.
Gary Bryant saying age, yeah, but if you're a shooter, you always will be able to shoot. And apparently Steph Curry just had a birthday, so he's 37 years old. We got to remember he spent a full a full 4 years in college whenever he was at Davidson. So that's kind of what puts it a little further back for Steph. Doesn't look like he's 37, doesn't play like he's 37. But that's the thing, right? Like a jump shot's never going to get broken. Like we know that from playing basketball. You can go to the gym, and it's one of the things that I love having with me is like I don't have the explosive ability I used to have whenever I was in my 20s. But you know what's never left me? That right-handed or left-handed jump shot. It never leaves me. I can play a game of horse with the best of them, and I will make sure I win that game every single damn time, right? But when you can shoot, it translates. I would love to see what I can't even say this one though, because I was going to say Nikola Jokic, what his game evolves into. Even if Nikola Jokic becomes the normal center, he can be Arvydas Sabonis by the time he's 44, right? Like his game is going to be able to age a little more gracefully than, let's say, Jimmy Butler or some of these other players that are out there.
Well, and for you guys that don't remember Arvydas Sabonis, he played an entirety. If you see his tapes when he was younger, he played an entirely different game. It was at
Arvydas Sabonis would be a certified Hall of Fame All-Star player if he played today.
Oh yeah, but and that's being, and I want to take one point because you have two Arvydas Sabonis, the young one where he was going over players, shooting. I mean, he was just, if you take a look at some of the tapes when he was younger, you're like, wait, that's Arvydas Sabonis. Then you look at Portland of Arvydas Sabonis and go, that's double the guy I was watching right now. And he changed. He was probably one of the first really passing centers that could pass some weird angles and just get it in some ways that you were like, how the heck did he do that? He must have, eyes in the back of his head.
And there's a reason why Shaquille O'Neal says that Arvydas Sabonis was always his most dreaded matchup. It's because Arvydas Sabonis was 7'3", a big beefy dude, and had the outside shooting ability of like a Dirk Nowitzki, the ball handling skills of like a Kevin Durant, along with the passing ability of a LeBron James. It was insane to watch old Arvydas Sabonis. Even old Arvydas Sabonis would have been a Hall of Fame player in today's game. Like young Arvydas Sabonis would have been killing it, but old Arvydas Sabonis would have still just absolutely dominated. He was Jokic before Jokic. Gary Bryant saying Augustine Steph might not be as good as he once was, but he can still shoot better than half, maybe over half of the guys who can shoot now who are much younger. I would still say he's the best shooter in the NBA.
Oh yeah, by far. He's the, Arvydas, excuse me, I was going to read that, but Steph Curry is and will be for the longest time ever considered the best shooter ever to have stepped on the NBA, the court, because what he does, what he did, and what he will do the next 2-3 years, when he is still in that kind of shape, is still going to shape the NBA and what the NBA does. And until you have, another flash in the pan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, something like that coming through, this is the way the NBA is going to be. And that's the way we're going to have to watch the NBA with less talent, to be in the NBA. To be in the NBA, does it come down to, are you just a good shooter? Instead of what we were accustomed to in the 80s and 90s, are you a great player?
And it had to be like a both ways player, right? Like if you were only really good on offense, then you had to be really good on offense. If you're only really good on defense, and you had to be really good on like the Bruce Bowens and players of that nature, right? Gary Bryant saying Arvydas Sabonis was way ahead of his time. Court vision, passing skills, low post ability was crazy. I think this is the show that's given Arvydas Sabonis the most love in the last 20 years since he's been retired. And I want to say it's like 25 years maybe that he's been retired. It's been a while.
Yeah, Arvydas Sabonis years are going, oh, somebody's talking about me. Who?
It's all good. It's all good stuff, Arvydas. We got nothing but love for you. Domantas Sabonis, not so much you, though.
And he's not half bad, though.
He's not half bad, but he ain't his dad. Like,
No. It's like Bronny's not LeBron. Simple as that, you know. But at least the younger Sabonis, because I can't say his name.
DeMontis.
There you go. That one. I mean, he doesn't have a $7 million a year contract, does he?
I want to say it's more than that. He's one of the Kings' best players. So let's see what his contract is.
Wow. I think he's a very good player. Obviously, not his dad, but he's got some of the wickedest footwork I've ever seen too.
So he just signed a 4-year, $180 million deal. So this year he's making $40.5 million. DeMontis Sabonis. He's already made more than his dad ever made.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm dumbfounded, flabbergasted.
Like just looking at his career earnings, $229,723,326
and 7 cents.
But like he's a good player. Like he is a walking double-double, like Gary Bryant is saying. Gary also goes on to say, Clay, the same in terms of shooting, better than a lot of guys playing who are much younger. You won't have a next who's earned the next. Media will push the envelope to make them the face of the NBA, which is kind of what they're doing with Anthony Edwards right now, right? They're trying to say he's the face of the NBA. I think that's the problem that the NBA has right now is you already have a face. It's Nikola Jokic. You just don't want to accept that a guy who looks as boring as he does, that plays as exciting as he does. I'm going to say it right now. Nikola Jokic, watching him play is extremely exciting to watch, but just it's hard
as
to
exciting as Tim Duncan.
No, I mean, for me, I loved watching Tim Duncan play. It was beautiful, fundamental basketball. I wish Tim Duncan could shoot the three the way that Nikola Jokic can shoot the three.
Now here's a question for you. Would Tim Duncan shooting a three call glass?
Oh, 100%. Like you know, it could be a corner three, and it's still going to be off the glass. Like it's going to be the most fundamental three-pointer you've ever seen in your life. One of my favorite things of Tim Duncan was a 2008 playoffs against the Phoenix Suns, and it's an overtime. It's been a hell of a game, and for some reason, Tim Duncan is out on the wing. They pass the ball to Tim Duncan at the 3-point line.
I remember that.
Drills that three and then gives the weirdest fist pump I've ever seen in my life, where it's just like, ah! You remember that guy that ran for president? Pyah! It reminded me of that guy. And I was like, there's Tim Duncan. The one time he shows emotion, it looks foreign to all of us.
Yeah, and we're talking about guys that changed the game when they were playing. Because, Timmy Duncan, you call that he was fundamentally sound and everything. How the heck do you guard that? How the heck do you, not Ben Wallace, the other Wallace.
Rashid?
The way he would shoot, he was 6'10", and he would shoot all the way up here. How do you guard that?
And the thing with Rasheed Wallace is, again, that's another one that played ahead of his time, right? Like, he was a big guy that had a nice outside shot. And I know whenever he got bored, he would shoot the three-pointer left-handed. I don't know if you remember that or not. He would shoot left-handed and was still like 37% with a left-handed three-pointer, which was the craziest thing in the world. But, man, I love that. Like, we can sit here and talk about old-school basketball all day long. I want to get to some comments real quick here, though, Augustine. Tommy Cananza saying Bronny is trash. He is LeBron, therefore he is trash. DeMontis Sabonis is an average double-double. And then Gary Bryant talking about the face of the NBA. You got to let it happen organically. They're pushing for an American to be the face. They're neglecting to have Jokic be the face of the league. It's political tip. I agree with that as well. And if you're not going to have it be Jokic, then you need to have it be like Luka or someone like that. Like, Luka has such a great personality. Luka has the game that kind of matches it up. I know, Augustine, you hate Luka Doncic.
No. I think his game is amazing, but I think they're you put him against Edwards, and Edwards gonna eat him for lunch. Maybe it would be the other way around.
I was about to say that. You think Luka's game is amazing? You know what I think is amazing?
Oh, let me have it. I just want
comfortable. Promise that it ain't too much, but just enough. Just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip? Just the tip.
It's time for Just the Tip.
No más la puntita.
Is brought to you by our friends at www.happynuts.com, myhappynuts.com. That's where you want to go to save on all your male grooming needs. Guys, the summer's coming up right around the corner. Mother's Day is on Sunday, so now you're going to be treating your wife to a fun time, making her a mom once again, and you didn't take care of yourself because you didn't take care of your happy nuts with www.myhappynuts.com. All you had to do was use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout. You would have saved on all your male grooming needs. Instead, you're going to be going into Mother's Day looking like a Wookiee, and it's all your own GD fault.
And you know what's funny about that? You haven't even seen Star Wars.
I haven't seen Star Wars, but I know what a Wookiee looks like. I know what it sounds like, and it's going to be looking like everyone else is going to look on a Sunday night just because you MFers decided you didn't want to go to www.myhappynuts.com. Take care of your family, damn it.
Take care of your nuts, damn it.
Make sure your nuts are as happy as mine. Tommy Cananza saying, damn it, I'm at the school. Man, that's that. I hope you had the volume down a little bit. Tommy, you got to be able to you got to look at the clock, my guy. You got to be able to look at the clock and be like, look, maybe now's not a good time to have just the tip playing.
Yeah. So we were talking about these great players, and I'm, I wanted to bring up this player to you and say this is a player nobody thinks about, but actually changed the game too as well. I think he changed the game. And you're gonna hear this name and go, I think you're gonna go like this, Tip. Yeah. Well, not like that, but you know what I mean. Tom Chambers.
So Tom Chambers is a little bit ahead of my time, but I do know, seeing some of the highlights of what Tom Chambers was, he was, again, a guy that played, like if he played today, he would be averaging 30 points a game. It would be phenomenal, right? Like a big that can shoot, that can dribble, penetrate, that can do all that stuff. This was, like I said,
6'11", I think.
Like I said, that was a little before my time. I think he retired like early 90s, maybe, right? So I was real young at that point in time. But just thinking about that, man, like, yeah, that's a guy that I think, again, if he played today, and that's the same thing with like Rasheed Wallace. If Rasheed Wallace played today, it would have been like game over for a lot of these other people. Like, and then you could think about people that wouldn't have had a career at all, like George Mirasan wouldn't have been in the NBA. Sean Bradley wouldn't have been in the NBA. Like,
I think at 7'6", you would still be in the NBA.
Yeah, but you got 7'6" Taco Fall, who's not in the NBA.
That's right.
So, like, the big guy like that, like, you got to be Wemby to be that big and skilled to be in the NBA now. Because Taco Fall, even though he's big and, like, you can't teach big is becoming useless, kind of, at least if you don't have a skill set that gets you some buckets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. George Mirasan, wow.
Yeah, I pulled that one out.
Yeah, that's I think even Gary is going, huh? Who? What?
Gary Bryant saying Tom Chambers was a dude, would be a stretch four, have a three-point shot, but had everything else. Didn't have a three-point shot, but had everything else. I think that he probably would have developed a three-point shot, right? Like the way that we see Kevin Love, the way that we see Chris Bosh, the way that they were able to develop, getting at least a corner three, maybe even a wing three, where you can rely on it. If you're a 35% three-point shooter at 6'11", and you also have a whole bunch of other aspects to your game, you're going to be a solid guy, right? Like, and that's what I kind of love about the evolution of basketball. Like, I would have loved to have seen Pete Maravich today, right? Like what Pete Maravich could do if he was in the NBA today. I know that they ran like simulations whenever he was at college, just based off of where he shot the ball from. And if he had a three-point line in college, he would have averaged 54 points a game, which is just asinine to think about. 54 points a game in college if he had done that. I would like to have seen like Pete Maravich playing in today's game just because of the dribble penetration, the passing ability, all that. It would have been like another one that I think would have been awesome is White Chocolate Jason Williams, right? Like Jason Williams, if he played today, that would have been a game changer as well.
Oh, can you imagine Jason Williams leading the break for these for Antetokounmpo? I love saying his name. How about White Chocolate leading the break for Minnesota? Can you imagine? I mean, and that and he played on some teams anyway. Sorry, Tommy. I just read that, and sorry.
Tommy says, every time you talk NBA, you open up my wounds. Thanks a lot, a-holes.
The thing is, Tip, when you say it, you put context to it, I think Tommy is a little bit more serious than you. I think Tommy.
Okay.
Put that comment back. Let's read it how we think. This is the way I think Tommy would say it. Every time you talk NBA, you open my wounds. Thank you, a-holes. I think that's Tommy right there.
I think it's more along the lines of like, thanks a lot, assholes. Like that's where I think he's going with it. You know what I mean? Sorry, Roku. I know I shouldn't have said it. Shout out to some people who tuned in over on Instagram. Paul Casada, Kevin Wilburn, Handsome Devil. What a name. And
hey, am I tuning in on? No, I'm not. I'm
on Marin's picture as well. Tuning in over on Instagram. Thank you all so much. Like it was just a stream of them that tuned in right now. Sorry, Tommy, but we got to do it. We're talking NBA. Gary Bryant saying Wemby is being mismanaged. 7-5 playing primarily in the perimeter is hoop malpractice. I don't care if he can shoot threes. His game should not be primarily on the perimeter. And then going on to say Drazen Petrovic would be killing it if he played today.
Oh, Drazen. I mean, there's some highlights of, I think, Jordan taking Drazen to school, but people forget he scored 26 that game on Jordan.
Yep.
And he scored it every single way possible. Threes, layups, mid-range, and he wasn't sweating it. On the yes, Drazen was a liability on defense, but man, could he score.
But most people in today's game are a liability on defense anyway. He'd fit right in.
I think he played more defense than most of the players do today anyway.
Tommy Canazza saying that I nailed it.
No, he just put nailed it. He didn't say who nailed it.
He said nailed it, Tip.
Oh, Tip. Well, yeah, we'll go. Just because he's the host, right?
And then Gary's saying, oh, dang, I forgot, Tommy. My bad, bro. My bad. No, we're still talking about NBA, Tommy. I'm sorry. Like, it's got to happen. We haven't even mentioned the Dallas Mavericks. You know who I think would be awesome in today's NBA as well? Like Mark Aguirre, Fat Lever. Like, I could see those guys being amazing in today's game as well.
And Mark Aguirre, and let's say his name correct, Marcos Aguirre. He would have been great. He actually got to the free throw line. He had records of how many times he got to the free throw line was just, I mean, most of his points, I think, came from the free throw line. So, I mean, today's game, we love it. It's fast, and there's going to be, 100 points, scored each and every single game. But I think there has to be something where, I think it was yesterday's show where it's quantity over quality. And yeah. I think what the NBA fan is looking for nowadays, quality over quantity. That simple.
And that's exactly what it is with shot selection, right? Like, I don't want you putting up 43s whenever you've missed 30 of them. Like, I mean, come on, or you put up 60 3-pointers and you've missed 45 of them. Like, you did this in back-to-back games. You have missed 75 3-pointers in a 2-game series. And that's, to me, just a mind-blowing stat to even think about. You're 25% from 3. Get something. A little bit of dribble penetration, not triple penetration like Tommy was saying. A little bit of dribble penetration. Get to where, you get in. get a couple of easy buckets, because then the defense will fall back from the 3-point line, and maybe some of those threes will be a little bit easier for you to cash in. But as of right now, if they're not falling, quit forcing the damn issue. Quality over quantity. I'd rather have a nice open 3-pointer as opposed to just throwing a bunch of stuff all over the place. Tommy Canazza saying, I want quantity over quality. I miss you, Luca. I was saying, we don't have to love it. Don't throw me in that.
We're just gonna have to take, buy Tommy a shirt that has Luca's face with like tears coming out.
In the arms of an angel. Just got to think like the saddest songs of all time for Tommy to feel better about himself. Gary Bryant saying the NBA wants the casual fan to buy in. They don't care about the diehards. Diehards don't spend the cash as much as casual fan does. That's who the league is catered to now. I will say this though, like it's the diehard fan that's buying NBA League Pass, that's buying, the majority of the tickets and stuff like that. Like, you have to cater to your diehards and give them a thing. The only thing that sucks is, as diehards, I know I might be the only one in this boat. I watch so much NBA, it's not even funny, right? Like I watch the G League, I'm watching college basketball, I'm watching the Summer League, I'm watching the NBA all season long. And I still hate 90% of the games that I watch, because it's just, we're going to have a 3-on-2, and the guy at the top of the key is going to pull up and brick a 3-pointer, and no one's going to go after a rebound, so the defense gets the easy rebound and stuff like that. But I'm still watching all these games as much. I hate watching basketball now as if it was the NFC Championship Series between the Eagles and the Washington Commanders, because I wanted an asteroid to hit the earth. That's kind of how I'm feeling about whenever I watch Boston play, is can we bring the dinosaurs back or something to just put us out of our damn misery?
Yeah, Tip, and you bring up another point about, those that kind of basketball in the G League and college and all that. And I would suggest you start watching European basketball, because the Spanish league. And then just like soccer, you have a Champions League where all these countries play up, and it's a great watch, because you see a lot of players that you'll go, oh, that guy's gonna be doing the NBA pretty quick. And one more player I want to talk to you about, Tip, because we talked about all these great players, and I want to talk about one other player that never gets his due. And I think you will agree with me on this one, because he brought something different to Chicago, even though Jordan and Pippen were there.
We're talking about Kukoc.
Exactly.
That's who I was going to bring up as well. Whenever we brought up Petrovic, was going to be Tony Kukoc. Like, I know that whenever the United States played him in the Olympics and stuff, and Jordan and them made him look bad, that it kind of ruined a lot of his steam going forward. But after Jordan retired and he was like the guy on the team, he carried them for a while, man. And he was doing his thing again, an averaging a double-double. Like, I could imagine what a guy like Tony Kukoc would be in like today's game, because you said it. The game of the NBA has evolved to where it's more of like a hybrid of what it used to be, along with the European style of basketball. And all these European guys that played in the 80s and the 90s, like, could you imagine Oscar Schmidt playing in the NBA now, right? Like that's well before my time, but real hoopers know who the hell Oscar Schmidt was. And like, if he had played in the NBA, what he would be averaging for like a guy like him, man, like it's one of those things that I just, like, I always think about that. Like, even Andre Karolinko, like what he could have done if Utah allowed him to actually shoot the damn ball instead of just being a 3-and-D kind of guy. Gary Bryant saying, I watch hoop, but not as much as I used to, because I always end up fussing at the TV because of bad hoop play. Going on to saying that he watches the European League, Augustine, the Puerto Rico leagues, and the African League of basketball. I'm going to have to start looking up some of those ones, man. And then Tommy saying, I used to love Tony Kukoc back in the Bulls empire. And then Gary saying, Oscar Schmidt was a real one. Jeez. I think I just came out with the biggest throwback of them all with Oscar Schmidt.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to see Oscar Schmidt because, he played in Brazil, but his international play when he came up against the big teams, the USA, and he would eat them for lunch. I mean, it wasn't pretty the way he did it. It was, well, it was pretty for him, but I mean, the way he would just destroy the American teams and every single team out there was just amazing. And you talked about Tony Kukoc and the way Jordan and Pippen went on him and right before. But you got to remember when Tony Kukoc was 16, he took the USA team to school. I mean, you have to one of these days put Tony Kukoc versus USA at 16. And you got to remember that Tony Kukoc was, I think, 6'10", 6'11". He was 16 and he was 6'8", and he was a lefty, and you appreciate that one. And Tony Kukoc, I think there were players out there that were so far ahead of their time. And I'm going to include one more ahead of its time, and people are going to go, blech. Christian Laettner was...
You're going to have to explain that one to me, because he could have fit in perfectly. Like he was a big that had like a mid-range game. Like that was his thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And he still didn't pan out. Like I know it's weird to say he didn't pan out. He had like a 12-year career in the NBA.
Yep. But he was put under, I think, not the best situations in the NBA. Not under the best leadership, because he was expected to be that leader. And I think being, I mean, no ifs or buts, he was on the dream team. And yes, everybody hated Christian Laettner, especially in his Duke years. But he's the one who actually, beat UNLV back when they had those Stacey Augmon,
Larry Johnson.
All these players they were NBA players playing in college. That's what they were. It's not that Jerry Tarkanian was a great coach. I mean, maybe he was a great recruiter, but
so he was a great recruiter.
Great recruiter. Hey, but what he paid before was nothing. Is nothing what teams are paying today. So let's get that clear. And if the NBA is going this way, and I think some people remember this, Loyola Marymount of Bo Kimble. Loyola Marymount of Bo Kimble kind of was like that, that fast pace, shoot threes all the time, average 150 points. What did that get him? Yeah, some big notoriety in college. Never a championship.
Gary Bryant saying Laettner was slow and a plotter. His selection on the dream team was political. Shaq should have been on that team. Could you imagine a young Shaq on that dream team?
Oh yeah, I can. But the thing is, and Gary, you got to remember when Duke played LSU, Laettner ate him up, horribly.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the debate. I think everyone knows, like, Christian Laettner in college was the guy, right? Like, you got that shot against Kentucky. You have a lot of moments that he did. The thing is again, he spent a 12-year career in the NBA and didn't do much of anything. And I know that he was drafted by Minnesota back whenever Minnesota was really bad, right? Like Sam Mitchell was their number one guy. Look at that for a throwback right there. Sam Mitchell being the name that I pull out of the hat. But he was still there whenever they drafted Kevin Garnett. And he's like, he couldn't really get the playing time that he would need for me to say, okay, like I agree with you on that aspect of it. Like I thought his game matched perfectly for the NBA. It just didn't pan out for whatever reason it was. Gary Bryant saying Christian Laettner was a decent pro, though. Bo Kimble could shoot in college, but was horrible in the NBA. I remember the game.
Yeah,
like Larry Johnson. People don't give Larry Johnson his due. That's another one that I would say was a little ahead of his game. Big dude that could shoot from the outside from time to time. The biggest memory that most Knicks fans have since 1972 till now is that 4-point play that Grandmama had against the Indiana Pacers, where he hits that 3-pointer, gets fouled, and that ultimately gets them into the NBA Finals against the San Antonio Spurs, where they got that ass took.
Yeah. But and you're gonna laugh at me, but my best memory of the Knicks was, and you'll remember right now, Um, that dunk by Starks, that dunk.
Well,
You are
one of my favorite memories of the Knicks is that dunk by Jordan on Patrick Ewing, where you could see his soul come out of him, or
Yeah.
even the one from Scottie Pippen, where Scottie Pippen dunks on him and just walks right over.
and those were actual rivalries, not like the ones we have before. Because yesterday's players, I'll call it yesterday because I don't want to say 80s, 90s, because that's a long time ago.
It's 40 years ago.
With 40 years ago. Those players did not after the game say, "Hey, you want to go have dinner?"
They kind of did. Let's not forget that Charles Oakley and Michael Jordan were best friends, are still best friends.
No, I understand that, but on the court there was no love.
Yeah.
On the court there was no love. And I think Kobe was the last of that, because if you remember correctly, what Kobe did to Paul Gasol in the international game,
in the Olympics, where he says, "I'm going to run right through his ass."
Yesterday's players would pee on their territory. This is my territory, buddy, and that was it.
I mean, I feel like you kind of get that a little bit. Like Draymond's a throwback to that, right? Like you can tell Draymond's not going to dinner with anybody after the game.
Oh, nobody's going to take Draymond to dinner and to anything anyway, because Draymond is today's Bill Lane Beer.
Okay, I can see that.
Lane Beer was a dirty player. He was, and yes, he had some great moments where he shot 8 or 7 straight made 3-pointers. But Lane Beer did his job, and Bill Lane Beer, yeah, he was hated. He was he was doing all that, but he still was a dirty player. And Draymond, unfortunately, is today's Bill Lane Beer. And there was nobody between Draymond and Lane Beer that had that moniker. Rodman was not that either, because Rodman was just good at what he did.
Rodman knew how to get under your skin, and he just lived there. And once he was in your head, you were so out of your feet. Look at what he did to Karl Malone, who was a machine. Like the way that he would just get into Karl Malone's head and get him out of the game in the most clutch times, because you could only imagine what it had to have been like to be guarded by Dennis Rodman, this weird, odd character of a guy with all his cheetah print hair and all that stuff. Like, we can say, though, in today's NBA, Dennis Rodman wouldn't exist.
Getting 20 rebounds a game?
But they don't put a premium on rebounds anymore.
No, I understand that, but somebody has to go, yeah, I need that. I need. Can you imagine Rodman guarding? I don't know.
Rodman versus Jokic would be fun. That would be fun, and that's the thing that people don't realize, right? Like Rodman was an undersized dude. What was he, like 6'8", 6'7", around there? But he was playing the 5. Like he was guarding power forwards and 5s all the time, because he had a motor that never ever stopped.
Yep. He made those big boys work to get downstairs. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
He would grab him from the half court line and just start, kneeling on them and make them work all the way down. And by the time the bigs get down there, the shot clock is at 10.
There's a picture that's out there of Dennis Rodman guarding Shaq, and you can see the frustration on Shaq's face, and Dennis Rodman just smiling like, I'm in this kid's head so hard right now.
And by the way, everybody, we're not saying that yesterday's leagues were better. Yesterday's NBA was better. The game has changed. That is something that we can all agree upon. But yes, in a certain way, we always go back, and everybody does this, to the 80s and 90s basketball. And if we're all going to that era, that means for each and everybody and every one of us that saw that, it was a different league. It was a game that even the worst team in the league was actually competitive.
Gary Bryant saying, I disagree. Rodman could guard the 2, 3, 4, 5 if he played today. He would be valuable in the league because defense is not a premium in the league now. I think the more we spoke it out, I will take it back. I do also agree that Rodman would be able to. I just don't see him as like. I don't see him playing the minutes that he used to play back in like that time, right? Like I think his minutes will be diminished unless it's like a playoff game where they need a stop. You know what I mean? Unless it's like one of those.
Can you imagine Rodman guarding, let's say, Klay Thompson? How is Klay Thompson going to get free from that?
He's not. Like it's that simple. He's not.
Can you imagine? I don't know. Rodman guarding. I don't know. Here's a bust for your ages. Zion Williamson. You know,
he would eat Zion Williamson alive. He would take him to lunch though.
Yeah. How about Rodman guarding Luka? I'm sorry, Tommy. Rodman guarding Luka.
Man, that would be a fun matchup. I still think Luka would get some of his points, but it would be tough. Like it would really be tough.
Yeah, I mean, Rodman guarding LeBron.
No, LeBron would still get his. LeBron could be so much more physical. Like if you put a physical guy on LeBron could be physical with him, and Rodman's not going to be able to deal with that.
Here's the thing where I think Rodman wins.
Yep, up top,
and that I think and you think LeBron is going to be flopping all the way to Rodman would go, and LaFlop would go, and let me repeat that,
But Rodman would more than likely foul out. We could say that. That's where LeBron would win.
Yeah, but how sore would LeBron be every time he would come up against Rodman?
Yeah, he'd definitely be sore. He'd definitely be sore. All right, Augustine, we're coming up to the end of the show, my guy. I appreciate you so much for being a part of it today. Just a couple of comments to get to before we leave. Gary Bryant saying, whoever came up with the term two-way player is stupid. You're supposed to play both ends of the floor. And then saying Klay Thompson could get free with double pin-down screens from Dennis Rodman. And then Tommy saying, don't worry, Augustine. Tommy's not here anymore. He checked out as soon as the NBA talk started. I know Tommy wanted to talk about the NFL, but we're just not going to be able to get to that today, man. So
one thing, Pickens is going to be a bust in.
I'm not going to let you say that. It's not going to happen that way. Augustine, I appreciate you for being a part of today's show. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for having a good time. Join us for Fire Nights tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll see you then. You all know there are hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. However, BetUS has been in business for over 30 years. They have future bets that are paying out in the thousands, and there's still time for you to bet on the Super Bowl, the National Championship, and even the NBA Championship. Just use the QR code right here, and it'll take you to the BetUS site. BetUS. Check it out and bet responsibly. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%.